Hello and welcome to the second episode of Too Good Talks. I am Bonnie Toogood, your host, and I am joined by an incredible woman, actually. Her name is Jo Weston. Hello.
Hi, Bonnie. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the pod. Now, I don't even know where to start with. So, your achievement list. When I was doing my research, I was like, where do I even start? Do I go down the on-court stuff or do I look at the off-court situation with everything that you're doing with your studying and then presidency of the Players Association, your podcast? How do you fit everything in your life at the moment?
Well, they all try and I feel like they're puzzle pieces and they don't always fit together perfectly, but sometimes I just jam them in and hope for the best.
And sometimes you think it's March and when it's actually February 20th.
I know. I'm not the only person that probably is out there listening that's been very confused because the dates and days in February and March in 2025 have been the same. Or maybe I am the only person, and that's okay.
So what you're saying, and if I go and open my calendar right now, that the 20th of March is a Wednesday, as it was last week.
No, last month.
Last month.
So when we were trying to find a date to look at this, we were like February or March, and I was like, well, I'm gonna have to double, triple check, which is normally me. I rely heavily on the online calendar. I have one teammate who I recently converted from a paper calendar onto an online calendar and has changed your life.
Do you have a calendar that do you have different calendars from different organizations and then you just put it into your own calendar? Because that's my issue. I've got with football, where with Outlook, personally, I'm with the Apple calendar.
You can merge them. I try and distill them all into one big super calendar and everything goes in the Google Calendar. This interview in the Google Calendar.
In the Google, and at this rate, it could be April right now. We just don't know.
Who knows? I just open it up. Good. If I lose my phone, I might be screwed.
Well, let's not lose it. Let's keep that in the backpack or whatever you decide to carry. Do you have a bag?
I didn't bring one today. I'm just rolling solo with the keys and the phone.
Ooh, risky.
And the drink bottle, which I'll probably knock over at some point. So look forward to that sound effect in the background.
I can't wait. I'm on the edge of my seat. Can we talk about a little bit your off-season and you went under the knife, got a bit of surgery.
I know.
How's it tracking? How's it going?
I was just going to joke that I had some cosmetic surgery, but I feel like that's probably inappropriate. I had thumb surgery, so not as exciting. For cosmetic reasons, no. I had
cosmetic thumb surgery.
One of my ligaments I had reconstructed, so it was a long-standing injury rather than being an acute incident.
Yep.
But it was starting to impact my day-to-day life. Couldn't do all the important things, do up buttons, open drink bottles, play my saxophone, all the things that are vital to day-to-day life. So, and I had a bit of extra time off. I did miss some of our Diamonds commitments over the January break, but normally we tour in January, but this time we just had a training camp. So it was a bit of a compromise, I guess, but I'm really happy to have it sorted and be out of the splint and cast that I was in.
I think so. I just recently went through a surgery as well, and I've never had one before. Have you?
The only other surgery I've had was sinus surgery, so not not an injury to try and rehab.
But you had to go under, hey?
Yeah.
This was the first one for me, and everyone was like, oh, you are going to have the best sleep ever. I was so nervous for this, and my anaesthetist knew it as well. So he was fantastic putting me to sleep. But everyone's right. It is a good sleep, and then you wake up, it's all done.
Yeah. You say, wow, that was easy.
It's actually impressive what surgeons do.
You say, well, you'd hope so.
Yeah. Well, they get paid a lot.
They've done a lot of training, all those sorts of things. But yeah, both times, I've actually probably been under 3 times because I've had my wisdom teeth out, which is why I've just, lost a few brain cells over the time. But every time when I wake up, I'm just so chatty.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I had the best icy pole I think I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I told the nurse, and I was like, what is this icy pole? This is absolutely incredible. It's just a lemon icy pole. I'm like, best icy pole I've ever had.
I'm probably just concerned because I haven't been able to talk for 3 or 4 hours. So it's coming out like word vomit at that point.
Yeah. Oh, I actually feel you on that because I was exactly the same. And then I hit a wall and they put me back to the recovery seat and I was like, oh, I'm feeling a bit grim here. And then I didn't tell them that I was. And then they came over. I had a bit hot sweats. They're like, are you okay? I'm like, no. I feel terrible. They're like, oh, do you want an anti-nausea? I'm like, oh, you got a pill for that? Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
I know.
And then happy days.
That's nice. So you had ankle surgery?
Ankle surgery, yes, syndesmosis. They put a tight rope through the two leg bones and close the gap and tighten it up. And
Okay, so it's just like fixing a hole in your pants or something.
absolutely, like it's generally what they do on the body is like carpentry, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, I think.
Yeah.
Hopefully no surgeons are listening to this.
No, because we're simplifying it way too much for how much they've studied. So you're in pre-season at the moment.
I am. It's a bit of a slog. We're on the home stretch, but the last 2 pre-seasons I've been injured, so I've been rehabbing. This time around I'm having to do all the training, which is really nice, but it's actually really hard. I'd forgot it almost. It's like I'd blacked it out, and this is my 12th pre-season.
Yeah, like you debuted in 2014.
Yep.
Gosh, that's a long time in the system.
It is, and I'm obviously one of the veteran players, as some of the Gen Zs in the team continue to refer to me as, but it is getting a bit concerning when my initial time when I started playing netball back in under 11s that year, some of my teammates, they weren't alive yet.
Yes, that's always
That's a kicker.
That's the kicker,
Yeah.
absolutely. You're like, oh, wow, I'm getting on. But what's a day in the life look like at the moment in pre-season?
Well, we're travelling occasionally. We've got a couple of pre-season matches. I recently went to Wagga for a weekend, and then we're heading to Ballarat and Bendigo, so getting out into some regional areas, which is really fun because we don't get a chance to go there during the season. Day to day, we're training 5 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're on the netball court, and then we either have gym or a conditioning session alongside that, and then Tuesday and Thursday we're just in the gym getting absolutely jacked.
Yeah, awesome.
And that's a 12-year process for me. I've got a couple
What are you talking about?
I've got a couple of chin-ups now. No,
Chin-ups are hard.
No, I've got long levers. I do have quite a lot of arm muscle, but they're like for aesthetic purposes. Like I can barely do it's quite comical. I can't do one chin up. I can do a couple of chin ups, but I can barely do a push up. And it's
actually
it's
a thing
deceiving.
when you're a long lever. Because I used to weirdly be fascinated in CrossFit and don't want to do it. Just really liked watching like these athletes because they're like so fit in so many different aspects. But a lot of them are quite short.
Yes.
And weightlifting benefit is easier. Not easier. No, I don't.
No,
That's
it is.
the wrong
No,
word.
it's
It's
categorically
just because
easier.
like the short levers.
Yeah, they don't have to go as far.
No.
So
Well, my levers, I'm not nowhere near as tall as you, but like I would say in AFLW world, I am like a moderate to taller person.
you're tall.
Like, so I'm going to say my levers are long, so that's why I struggle in the gym as well, particularly upper body.
So that's really it. We're on how many weeks have we got? We're nearly a month out, I think, now. So it's going to come around very quickly. Then we go to Adelaide. We have our Team Girls Cup, which is like a big pre-season competition where all the teams come and play all weekend long. And then we get cracking.
That's it. Round 1 is?
That's a good question. It's in April. I don't know the exact date off the top of my head. I reckon it's April 1st or April 2nd. Let's go with that.
Let's go. Only a month away.
Yeah, gosh, countdown is on.
It is.
Go Vixens.
Go Vixens.
Yeah.
I've always been a big Vixens fan. Like,
Okay.
Julie Coletto was probably like my idol.
Yeah, she was one of mine too.
Obviously Sherelle.
Bianca Chatfield.
And Bianca Chatfield. She
I
emceed
know.
an event for us 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I actually just went up to her and fangirl because I was like, this is crazy that you're emceeing our like best and fairest. And as a kid, I just watched you dominate the netball floor.
I know. She's still got it, I think. And she's got a little baby girl now as well. So future Vixen, perhaps.
I reckon.
We're always just trying to recruit them, start them
What is
young.
it? Mother-daughter.
Yeah, she's a legacy,
Yeah.
I don't know if we do that, whether she's guaranteed a spot or not. Maybe we should do some research for the Players Association for that.
I was about to
know?
say, like, you in your presidency role, like, you could
Yeah.
probably have some sway in that. Before we get into what you do with the Players Association, let's go down memory lane a
Okay.
little bit, because something that we do have in common is that we both played for the same junior club in
That's
netball.
true.
Waverley District Netball Association.
WDNA for life.
Ooh, for life and forever in the red and black. When did you start playing? How old were you? Did you always love it?
I started playing when I'd moved schools. I went to Sacré-Cœur here in Melbourne, so I joined the netball team. We were called the Sac Shooters. We played on Saturday down at the Ashwood netball courts.
Yes.
And then I tried out for the rep netball team at WDNA, and then just sort of played all the way through like my primary school and high school years. I did have a little bit of a detour and I was playing other sports at that point, and then I came back to netball because I really loved it. I loved being a part of a team. I really enjoyed like the female friendship aspect of it. I got 2 older brothers, so move them out of the way. Bring in the teammates. It's fine.
Find my people.
And I played for WDNA all the way through. Sorry, you have to excuse me. I'm obviously getting emotional talking about it.
So going down memory lane.
We've got 3 from 10 in my Vixens team now from Waverley District. So that's 30%. They'd be happy with that.
Wow, that's a great return for WDNA.
Yeah. I was the solo one for a long time, but I've grabbed a couple of other ones to come through.
There's a couple AFLWs as well.
There you go. That's a
athlete
academy.
That's basically like if you want to excel in. No, let's not do a plug, but I can't guarantee anything. Obviously, the pathways are tricky, but head down to WDNA. You just never know.
Yeah, I played rep netball for them, and then I joined the VNL when I reckon I was like in year 10 or something. But I played with my Saturday team, the girls from school, all the way through. So we're still friends now, and it's really cute.
Who did you play for in the VNL?
I played for a couple of teams. I played for Monash, which is now I think Hawks. There's been a bit of ship and change, and then I joined Burundara. I played with them for maybe 2 years, and then when Melbourne University brought in a team, I joined that team because I was studying there at the time. So the alignment kind of made sense. So I've played all around 3 teams now.
And did you go through like the Vic pathway?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yep, I played all underage state netball.
Yep.
I did have a little siesta up in Canberra at the AIS whilst they were still offering the scholarship-based netball program, which they don't have anymore. So after I left year 12, I went and moved to Canberra. And I think my family thought I was a bit crazy. They're like, why do you want to go there when you could stay here in beautiful Melbourne with all your family and friends? But I loved it. I spent 2 years on scholarship there, and the coach, she was one of the ex-Swifts coaches, and they brought in talent from all across Australia, and it was really fun as well.
Wow. So you've been like in the elite pathway for more, well, you've said 12 years at the Vixens, but really it's like you add 5 more years to that, really.
It's pretty much straight out of high school, and I think I probably had the added benefit. Obviously, I played like state nationals when I was at school, but I wasn't. My school wasn't very sports centric, so I think for me, I kind of came out of the blocks fresh out of graduating, rather than I feel like sometimes when you play school sport at a really high level, you can get a little bit burned out.
Yeah. Well, there's no sign of burnout happening with you with 12 years strong, that's for sure. So you debuted in 2014. And then the following year, you're like, hey, Aussie Diamonds, I'm here.
I guess
I got Rookie of the Year in the Melbourne Vixens in 24. Look at me.
I think I was the only new player in 2014, so they didn't have any other options to give it to. But yeah, I was very fortunate to sort of, I guess, be not jumped ahead of the queue, but I ended up in the Diamond squad at a really young age. Yeah. We have a World Cup every 4 years in netball, and there was one in 2015. And after that, a lot of the experienced defensive players retired, whether it was injury or other reasons. So with that, we had a bit of a depleted stock, and I was just sort of next in line to a degree in terms of the talent pathway. And I guess the coaches saw a bit of potential in me and the ability to go to the next level. And yeah, I was like straight into the Diamonds, and I think I was 21.
That's amazing. I really appreciate your humility, by the way, of being like, I was just in the right place at the right time. But obviously all the work that you had done up to that point was also a factor in it all.
I do think there is a bit, I'm sure, in team sport, especially netball, where it's a bit of a numbers game as well. And sometimes, people can have really serious injuries, which can rule them out, which opens up other opportunities. There is somewhat of like, it's not luck, it's just kind of like the way the sport ends up. So, but I'm a big believer of, being in the right place at the right time, but you have to have done the right work.
Correct.
To be able to make the most of the opportunity that you're given.
The pathway is pretty brutal, and because there are 7 players on the court, like people literally sit on the bench for a long time.
I've been a bench sitter. And I don't know if that's the appropriate title.
Bench
but
warmer maybe, I
bench
don't know.
warmer, yeah. I've had like all of my family and friends have come to a lot of games, and they always used to get there early so they could see me doing the warm-up just in case.
Yep.
That's all they saw for the rest of the day. And it is a bit hard, I think, compared to other sports where, you know, substitutions happen really regularly, and if you're in the team, you're pretty much guaranteed to have some sort of like court or field time. But it's just the way the sport kind of operates. I do think in the more modern netball game, maybe not at an international level, we have a bit more rotation, a bit more, you know, specialist defenders. We've got shooters that can shoot from range that might come on in the later part of the quarter. So I feel like that's been really good too.
I think that's definitely like spiced up the game with that ability to have those rolling subs for
it was
that.
so weird. Like it was quite old. And netball's probably always been a little bit stuck in its old ways for good and bad reasons. But some of the rules, like you used to have to fake an injury to be able to substitute a player on and off.
Yep.
I'd be like, oh, I've hurt my finger. And they'd be like, have you? And I was like, well,
Yes, it's not working.
How believable is that? So I know it was kind of odd that you'd have to kind of manufacture an excuse to be able to swap players over. So I'm glad that they've sort of adjusted a few of the rules.
Yeah, it's definitely like I think it's like made it like much more modern. Because growing up, like I was also a bench warmer in netball. Like you almost weirdly have to bide your time. Like when you step up to another stage, it's like, oh, I have to wait for my turn here. Like I have to work for my turn as well. And I think like I put a lot of like my resilience building and like my ability to handle failure now probably stemmed from my time when I was playing netball and trying to go through the pathway. I got a lot more no's and a lot more bench warmers minutes like before you get to like crack the on court stuff.
Yeah, and I do think I feel like it is an ability to be patient, which probably in the modern world is an ability that's being lost. But I do also think, like I see some probably like maybe young girls that come in through AFLW and it's pretty clear that they're not ready, but just due to circumstances, they're out there on the field. And I don't think you can underestimate how confidence eroding it can be, that if you sort of put in a position where you don't feel fully confident or capable and how detrimental that can be. So it is like a fine line because obviously we're all ambitious. We want to be out there. We want to be playing. We're doing the training. So it's always a bit of a juggle. And I'd hate to be a coach.
Oh, I think that every preseason, you're like, oh, what's for you? Like, what's the starting seven going to be? For us, it's like, who's going to be the first, like, you know, round 121. It's always like, do you, like, you've been 12 seasons, and I don't know if you can really comment on this, and you don't really have to, because if I was in your position, I wouldn't. Do you have a level of confidence in where you sit in the team, or like still every preseason, you're kind of like, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And it's a hard one to answer.
We have 10 game day, especially the Vixens. So that goes to 7 to being out on the court. It probably depends on the opposition. Like last year we had quite a significant amount of injuries. So I was playing wing defence, which is probably my second position for most of the year. So we kind of chop and change depending on what opponent we're coming up against and all those sorts of things. But I honestly feel like the depth of our squad is what makes us so successful. And I feel like this year with the Vixens, we've really got that in terms of having the capability to switch players on, like especially defensively if you're wanting to have a bit of impact, or like say you're like me and you're getting penalised really heavily by the umpires. Sometimes it's good to just be able to like bring someone else on, let them have a run, see what they can create, and then maybe switch again. But I feel like the best team moments I've really been a part of sometimes is like when I first came into the Diamonds, I sort of got on the court, and then for the next probably like 12 to 18 months, I sat on the bench, like barely saw any court time. And then after that, me and one of my beautiful old teammates, April, who's retired now, we almost used to do like half and half. So she would start a game, and if she was performing really well, she'd probably stay on. But if they were looking for something different, I'd come on at halftime, and then sometimes I would start, and then she would come on at halftime. And it really was the best of both worlds. I feel like it was the most unique team dynamic I'd sort of been a part of, but we just had so much fun and we loved it. And it was sort of like, I don't know, it was really great. So I feel like I've seen it from both ends.
Yeah, I think like we are all ambitious as athletes, but you always have to remember when you're a part of a team, you're never as like bigger than the team, or like that's why you love team sports so much, is because of that camaraderie, working together, being in unique situations where you're tag teaming a little bit, and like there's some of your most like joyous memories in those moments, because it's like, oh, I get to do this with like a group of really cool people. If we can keep exploring, like we go into this segment, it's called doing hard things, because like we can all do them.
I think so.
Yeah. and we get faced with challenges, and we have to overcome them, but that helps us grow. And you have been in this pathway for so long, and what you would have started at coming in as a 20-year-old at the Vixens to now being later in your career, like what are some like key things that you're like, I've grown so much in this space?
Oh, I feel like there's so many, and I feel like sport as well gives you a lot of opportunities outside of just sort of, I guess, the training environment. I feel like being patient is definitely something that was a big lesson for me to learn. I felt like I was pretty lucky. I sort of would, trial for a team and I'd make that team, and then I'd trial for another team and then I'd make that team. And I think having a coach really be honest with you and tell you some feedback that you might be a bit sort of taken aback by to begin with, but actually to see the long-term benefit of that has been really valuable. I think my communication skills have evolved a lot. I think it stems from, I guess, being quite ambitious, and I was very easily frustrated if things didn't go my way. I was like, what's happening? Why me? All this sort of stuff. I think it comes from being a defender as well. The rules in netball.
And the whistle keeps going and the defenders, and you're like, what's going on here?
So I think having that, emotional restraint and being able to communicate in pressure environments has been a really big learning for me. And then also I think just like handling different personalities, conflict resolution. I feel like I'm trying to sell myself for my future job. But there's a lot of soft skills that you get exposure to, which I feel like can help you in everyday life, and it's just transferable to any other situation, really.
I always feel like in sport we get to be really practical with, like, say if you go and read like a self-help book or a leadership book or whatever that is, like I feel in a sporting environment, like the next day you can get up and go and implement that straight away, whether it's conflict resolution, whether it's like, oh, I've heard this person talk about this leadership thing, I want to kind of give it a whirl. Did you ever, or do you like read leadership stuff, because like you're a veteran of the team now, you're leading this group too? It's like, is that something that you are curious about or want to keep developing further in when your job interview for a CEO position opens up, you're ready to roll?
I've probably become more fascinated with it a bit later on. I feel like my reading has always been very fiction based. I love historical fiction. I like that sort of using reading as a bit of an escape, but I like listening to podcasts, I think, because that almost feels like a non-fiction way. But anything that's like habit building, I guess, mental clarity, communication skills, I feel like it's always really good to try and see other people's perspectives. And then, being able to implement them. You're right in terms of having just like so many practical opportunities that if you're probably in a traditional workplace, they might not pop up as frequently. So it's kind of fun.
It's kind of cool.
But it's also all the other stuff in terms of like you're hosting a podcast here, like going and doing public speaking and putting yourself in other uncomfortable positions, whether it's coaching and trying to like relate to kids or being able to, control teenagers, which I'm not a school teacher.
I don't know. Power to the teachers. That's all I'm saying, because they're doing some kind of work out there, because that would be difficult.
Yeah. I just think it's really beautiful in terms of just having all of these avenues to put yourself in positions where you probably wouldn't find yourself otherwise.
I know. We're very lucky.
We are lucky.
We are very lucky the life we get to live, and it is finite what we do.
What? I can't do this forever?
No, we can't play sport apparently, because these young kids come through and they like take over.
Got brand shiny new ankles and knees that don't click, so it's fine.
Yeah, but no. Our sporting career, from an athlete perspective, will come to an end at some stage, and you've been working on your off-court side of things with study. So you did a Bachelor of Commerce.
I did, yes, initially.
And then now you're doing a Master's in Comms.
Yes, communication.
I'm going to need some tips, because I'm going back to uni next week. It's O week. I've listened to my seminar this week, and next week I'm going back. I need some study tips.
Oh, okay. I'm definitely one to carve out some time in the online calendar. I put when I want to put uni into my calendar, and I can't cancel it.
Okay.
If someone wants to have lunch, I don't move it. So I put it in like it's any other commitment, because I feel like it's very easy to handball it to the following week or to the following days. And then that's just when I feel like the stress and the cumulative pressure kind of builds on you. We've got a bit of a study group going at the Vixens.
Oh, I love that.
I wax and wane. Sometimes I just prefer to study on my own.
I would just end up talking the whole time.
Yeah, I think I don't really know how much studying really goes on. But I think and it is a bit of a sacrifice, unfortunately. re-entering the study is hard, but once you get into like the habit and the structure of it, I feel like you'll be fine. What are you studying?
I'm doing a Bachelor of Business.
Oh, fun.
I've tried uni a couple times. This is my podcast, by the way, so that now you're interviewing me.
Yeah,
so,
no, sorry.
The tables have turned. But I've never been very confident in what I've wanted to study.
Okay.
So it's the first time where I'm like, oh no, I actually want to build my knowledge in the business space, because at school I never really did those subjects. I did more like humanities, PE, psych. So I never really went down that route, and I'm like, oh, I actually don't know like a whole lot about business. Now that I'm starting to have conversations and sitting at tables through my athlete career, I'm like, oh, this is an area I want to kind of explore a little bit more. So I'm really happy that I finally got that passion to want to go back and study. Did you have that passion like to go into commerce? Like, did you just know? Because that was my issue. I just never knew what I wanted to study.
I do think having more space and time to really think, or having like a natural curiosity, enables your study to be probably more valuable and to make you feel more motivated. I really liked maths and numbers when I was at school. So going into something that was like finance based kind of suited me. It was either that or probably like law, because I like structure when I was younger, in terms of, and it's so funny now I'm doing like a glorified arts degree, which is like the complete opposite of my undergraduate, and the assignments, the word count is very, very high comparatively.
Like, give us a ballpark.
Some of them are like 5,000, and I used to write like a 1,500, and in my undergrad you didn't have to reference anything. I was like, oh gosh, what have I got myself into? But I feel in terms of having like a direction and seeing a real life application, which I feel like you'll probably see with your business degree, it'll be more fun for you.
Yeah, I'm excited. So you mentioned that you like structure, but you also like, you plan out your uni. Is that like your uni study times? Is that how you balance the hecticness of your netball athlete career and then being able to, you're doing a master's with your 5,000 words, that's a lot of time that you got to dedicate to it, and a lot of reading, I suppose.
Yep. I just try and and I think another tip I'd probably have for you is, a lot of people think you're probably like, oh, I need half a day to like sit down, get myself in the right headspace, set up my desk. This was me.
All the procrastinators out there, you're listening?
Yeah, no, but you think you probably need like 3 to 4 hours, but at the same time you could probably get the same value out of it if you just do like 60 to 90 minutes like every night or something like that, rather than being like, oh, I have to put a whole afternoon away, which I feel like when you have like a schedule that's kind of bits and pieces, that's hard. Because if you want to block out a whole afternoon in your online calendar, you're not going to do that.
No, because someone's going to ask to go for a walk and coffee, and I'm going to be like, oh, I have to go.
And unfortunately, sometimes you can't go, Bonnie, but that's okay.
The art of saying no.
I know, the friends will still be there. They'll ask you for coffee another time. And if they don't, they weren't very good friends to begin with.
Oh gosh, we're just hitting life facts right now. This is just like life advice here on Toogle Talks. With what you've learned, we did speak off air about like governance is something that you're really fascinated in. Can we talk a little bit to like your presidency?
Oh yes,
of the
Players Association. Yeah, I just want to clarify that I have run unopposed, so it's not that I have been elected, but at this stage, it's just me putting my hand up.
And I think they've got the right candidate. They need someone that wants to do it.
Yeah, everyone else is scared. They know I'm perfect for the job.
They know
I'm very modest about it too, so it's fine.
So can we cast our minds back to a couple years ago when there was a bit of friction, I suppose, a lot of friction with Netball Australia and the pay dispute between its players. Can you talk us a little bit to what happened? And then also, I would love your emotional interview. Well, you were at a press conference?
Oh, yes.
I thought that emotion actually was quite beautiful, with what a lot of, I think, female athletes actually feel like when we talk about pay and the disparity.
And I think it's really hard when you're sort of working in like a union respect, because obviously you never want to not play a game. For us, we love playing. We never want to take something away from the fans or the people that watch the game. But at the same time, you really want to stand up for what you value and what you think that you can bring to the game. I feel like from a point of view, a real sticking point for us was sort of having some sort of player generated revenue brought into our player agreements. Yep. It's very stock standard in a lot of other sports across Australia and across the world. So AFL has it, NRL, cricket, all these sorts of sports where they've modernised the game. Yep. And as I was sort of alluding to previously, netball has historically historically been kind of stuck in its ways. And I think that was the same sort of thing. Like, we're not ready, like it's this or that, like X, Y, and Z. And I found that it was almost like we'd asked for it in the previous round of negotiations, which had happened sort of like 3 or 4 years prior to 2023. And then that obviously will change over in executive, and everything sort of gets really drawn out, where netball is a much smaller sporting pool compared to the other bigger sports in Australia. So we don't have as much resources to sort of get things turned over and all those sorts of things. So it takes time. But at the end of the day, it was really important. It was important to us as a playing group to feel like we had a stake in the game. It's no different to a CEO being incentivized by their efforts. So hopefully looking forward, it'll enable us to have a really good springboard to go forward. And the sporting landscape for women at the moment is really competitive. So we want to make sure that netball is staying, at, top of people's mind when they're choosing to pursue a sport professionally. Because if you look to AFLW or NRLW, there's much more player-generated benefit there. And obviously you want to play something because you're passionate about it and because you love it. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we're modernising the game, staying in a competitive landscape. And I did end up crying in one of our interviews that went public. And I think it just sort of was a testament to sort of what we'd been through. I feel like hopefully I was trying to act as a representative for the broader playing group. And we'd been unpaid for a significant period of time. At that point, really trying to make a point that, having this brought into our contract was something we really valued. It's not something I probably would, I don't know really how to think about it, but I was genuinely upset that it felt like we weren't making any progress and we weren't being heard. And I feel like that is a rhetoric that a lot of women have heard, depending in whatever workplace you're in. So hopefully it was somewhat empowering to know that even athletes can sort of face circumstances like that.
For sure. Sometimes I feel like we come in front of the media or whatever it may be and maybe aren't as authentic at times because, you're playing a line of some sort. But I think your authenticity was empowering. I think it shed a light on the realities of what players are feeling, thinking. We've gone through multiple CBA negotiations with the AFL, and there are times where you're inside, you're just you're frustrated, you feel like you're not heard, but you're waiting for that resolution to come through. And thankfully we've had that with our CBA negotiations throughout the time. But I thought it was really authentic and empowering what you did with showing that emotion. I feel like we need to do that more, actually.
I had lots of people had messaged me about it, and they told me that it meant something to them, which I really did appreciate. And it was sort of, I don't know, I was literally just reading off a piece of paper, and it just sort of came over me. So I'm glad it can have a bit of an impact.
Definitely. You definitely do have an impact all over, inspiring many people, that's for sure. We're gonna have a little bit of fun now.
Okay. This has been fun so far though.
A different fun.
Okay. Yeah.
This is gonna be different, fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
What type of fun?
So it's gonna be called Too Good to Be True is this segment.
Oh, okay. I like this.
So basically I'm gonna say a statement or a story, and you're gonna then pepper me with questions, and you're gonna figure out if it's a truth or a lie.
Too good to be true. Too good to be false. Okay.
Yes, but too good to be true. It rolls off the tongue a little bit. But
No.
Yeah. And then you're going to do it.
Oh,
cool.
Okay.
So you think of something, and then I'll go first just to give you time.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Okay. But I have to listen at the same time that you're talking though, so this is challenging for me.
I'm going first.
Okay.
All right, okay. I was walking home. Was walking to the train station actually after a concert, and I touched Keith Urban's hand.
Oh, wow. How did you know it was Keith Urban?
Because I ran onto the road to his car, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Keith, and just stuck my hand in. I was like, hey Keith.
Was Nicole with him?
Nicole was not with him. It was an empty car. It was just the Keith.
And what concert were you coming from?
Keith Urban, actually, yeah.
Oh, what year was this?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to say circa 2016.
Was it in Melbourne?
It was in Melbourne, John Cain Arena. I think it was a Rod Laver number, actually. I was just trying to plug the netball there.
Was he happy to have his hand touched?
Well, he reached for it because he had quite a soft hand.
What's your favourite Keith Urban song?
Ooh, that's a great question.
This is such a lie. I've got you.
No,
You
it's
don't know any Keith
actually
Urban
not because
questions.
Look Good in My Shirt, that song. I really like that song.
I think it's a lie.
Well, you were wrong because it's true.
It's true.
I've been to six Keith Urban concerts because Mum started me young.
I don't know a single Keith Urban song. Can you sing one to me? You got me.
Look good in my shirt. I know the guitar bits better than his bits. Do
you know who I saw the other night perform?
Kylie
Minogue. Oh
she
my
was here
God.
and I didn't get tickets.
Yeah, don't. I forked out for them. Me and my mum, Trish, had the time of our lives. We were definitely the target demographic. We wore matching sparkly gold jackets. Anyone that saw us there, that was us.
That is just the most iconic thing I've heard.
It was so much fun and it was really good. I can't believe that was a lie. That was a lie to me, 100%.
Yeah, I feel like I got you because I couldn't get the song.
Yeah, I know,
like,
you did.
I know Keith Urban. Like, I know his old stuff.
The hesitation sold me.
But maybe that was a ploy.
I know. Wow.
Maybe that I just planned it.
Okay, I think I need some time to think of a story.
I can actually tell you, while you think, I'll tell the whole story. All right, so I had the time of my life at Keith Urban, probably my 5th Keith Urban concert by this stage because Mum started young. And he was driving out of like the arena and he was in, I remember the car, it was a black Audi TT, like the cool like coupe kind of vibe. Weird that I know that car.
Yeah,
I
she's
don't
a
know.
car girl.
I'm really not. Like that's the extent of my knowledge. And he puts his window down. He's like waving to all his fans, like walking to the train station. And he stopped at the lights. And I was like, I see an opportunity here. So I grabbed Mum's hand and then she proceeded to grab her 2 friends' hands as well. And we just ran out to the car and we're like, oh my gosh, hey Keith, like that was incredible. And we were all like, with our hands in like the window. And he had really soft hands for a guitarist. And he just like, grabbed us all and was like, thank you so much for coming. And that was the story.
Oh, that's really nice. If only I'd been able to do that with Kylie Minogue last time I saw her.
Kylie's incredible.
Yeah, she's a Melbourne icon. I'm very obsessed with her.
Yeah, that's an okay obsession. So play on. You
Too
ready for
good-
yours?
Too good to be true. Okay, I've got a story for you.
Okay.
So a couple of years ago, I was playing a netball game in Sydney out at Olympic Park. That's where we play the netball out there. And after the game, I was sort of waiting on the side of the court, cooling down, and I see out of the corner of my eye the drug testers. They come after every game. Not every game, maybe 2 or 3 games a season. And they always come at the most inconvenient times. This time around, we had a very quick turnaround. We were playing. It was a Saturday night, and then we were driving straight to the airport, going straight to the airport after the game, and flying out to Melbourne. We were on the last flight home, I think, for that night because Sydney's got a curfew.
Yes, they do. That is the truth.
And we're out at Olympic Park. So unfortunately, they say, Jo, you had the best game of your life and you look incredibly ripped. We're picking you. You must be on something is what they said.
I feel like you're trying to deter me with this, but I think it's still true. Keep going.
Okay, we're going. I'm waiting in line to do the drug test.
Yes.
And I unfortunately had gone to the bathroom at halftime. So I had nothing left to give. So we're waiting. I'm waiting.
And for those at home, you can't leave.
No,
you can't leave.
You're not allowed to leave. But unfortunately for me, the rest of the team left because they were going to the airport, and I was like, I'll just Uber there. But in the whole fiasco of being tested, they took all of my bags. So I didn't have anything. All I had was my netball dress and my kit. So I was sitting there in my netball dress, just waiting. Finally, I'm like, I think I can go. I've just got a Gatorade, whatever it is. You're trying to drink, but not too much because you don't want to be too hydrated.
No, you do not want to be too hydrated. That is also a truth. You're dropping truths throughout this story.
I do the deed. I make the numbers. They test it. I'm on my way. I'm in the Uber in my netball dress. I get to Sydney Airport running through security. I get on the plane. In your netball dress? In my netball dress.
Like in full kit.
And it's sweaty.
Every day's game day.
And it's sweaty. And I sit there. I actually do get changed when we get to the gate. So I make it to the airport because they're all waiting at the gate. And I'm literally like, it's a movie. I'm running through like this in my netball dress. And that's my story.
What time was this flight leaving?
Must have been 9 o'clock, I think.
Yeah, okay. All right. What was the age of this drug tester?
definitely like late 50s.
Yeah,
It's giving mum vibe.
That's okay, that's pretty spot on. So I think the drug testing thing is definitely like a truth, because like that happens in professional sport all the time. I think where you're trying to throw me is like little details with this running through the. I want to believe it's a truth. I don't have any questions. I want it to be true. Is it true?
It's not so. The running through the airport is true.
But you just went in your dress.
They didn't take my bags. And that would have been disgusting also. If I was there in my netball dress, I would have just asked someone at like the arena, be like, give me your clothes.
And like, do you want to be seen through the airport running in like your full kit either? Like that's probably like.
And that would be, it has happened to one of my other netball friends. She won't mind me saying this, but it was after a photo shoot. It wasn't after a game.
Okay. That's okay. So not sweaty and gross. Oh, damn, Jo, that was a really good one.
We do have the iconic video of her going through security in her netball dress, though, which is pretty funny.
That's actually funny. I hope that gets like put on repeat like regularly.
It's very cute.
Surely that goes in like a happy birthday dump.
Every time.
Yeah. Never forget this moment. Oh, well, you played that game real good.
I know. You played it good too. I was like, that's way too good to be true.
Yeah. And like yours was too good to be false.
Yeah, I know.
But we all
lie, don't we?
We all lie. We all sometimes lie. All right. Thank you. That was a good. I really enjoyed that. The little giggle and everything. Now let's turn our heads to what's next, because you told me something that's very exciting.
I did, yes.
And you've got a new book.
I do.
Coming.
I do. I have a kids' book coming out with Penguin, which is really exciting.
Tell me more.
It's called Jo Weston's Netball Bestie, so it's going to be a bit of a series. But the first one that's coming out is called The Mystery of the Missing Billy. And you're probably thinking,
your dog is called Billy.
Billy is my dog. So it's kind of loosely inspired by my own life. It's set up at like our family nut farm, which is where my dad lives up near Bright in regional Victoria. And yeah, it's a bit of an adventure, you know. Obviously Billy might be going missing at some point. And the girl, Jo, she plays in the local netball team.
Not too many spoilers, come on.
I know. I'm trying to, I know. Well, I mean, you can read it yourself to see what happens, but it's really fun. It's all kind of about like friendship and elements and things that I'm like really passionate about. So I'm really excited. I have to give you a copy.
Yes, absolutely. Did you ever think like a book was on your horizon?
No, it was something I think that where I grew up is really, it's like picturesque. So it's the perfect setting for it. Mm-hmm. But I think having Billy incorporated has made it, I guess, a point of difference that's very like personal for me.
Because
so,
you love Billy.
Yeah, I'm a bit obsessed with her. It's a bit tragic, but she's really beautiful. And she's a light of my life. So I have no shame. I have no cringe.
Really lucked out with like, you have a very pretty dog as well. She's gorgeous.
She's really good looking. Unfortunately for me, well, she is smart, but she's also like almost so smart that she's dumb. Oh. But I tell her all the time, I say, Billy, you're very pretty, so you don't have to be smart. And I think that's great parenting advice, right?
Yeah, great. Yeah. Great. It's going to be such a great mom.
I know, perfect.
Oh, well, that's really exciting. I'm very, very happy for you, and I can't wait to get a copy.
Yeah, I know. I'm really excited for people to get their hands on it and tell me what they think.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so then we've got the upcoming season.
Yes,
in a
Go
month.
Vixens.
Go Vixens.
I know. We were runners-up last year, so we're hoping to go one better.
To be honest, it's been such a successful organisation for so long, really. Yeah. Like, you won a premiership in first year.
Yes, and then again in 2020. And we've had quite a few finals campaigns whilst I've been a part of the broader team. So we do pride ourselves on being one of the most successful teams in the competition. But we definitely would like to win the premiership this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Lifting up the cup is just something else.
Yes.
Is any international campaigns potentially this year?
We do have some commitments at the end of the year, but they'll reselect the squad during the season, and they haven't fully confirmed of the dates and our opposition of who we're playing yet. So watch this space, I guess. Can't reveal too much, but
have you noticed a difference? Sorry.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm not allowed to. I'm going to ask you about Essendon, obviously, because I'm an Essendon supporter.
Yeah, go Bombers.
Come on, Bombers.
Let me ask my question, then you can ask your question. Okay.
Fine.
And then we turn this Too Good Talks into a co-hosting situation. Have you noticed a shift? Like, it was always like New Zealand and Australia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, superpowers in netball. Have you felt a shift from the rest of the world in like their like the Roses, England Roses?
Yeah, the English team has definitely improved. They've had some
Yep.
players come over to our Australia competition, which I think has sort of expedited their development. And then the Jamaican team, the Sunshine Girls, are one of our bigger threats as
Yep.
well. They've got really tall shooters and really athletic defenders. So, and we don't get to play against them very often. Obviously, a lot of their players are also in Suncorp Super Netball, but as a team, we don't get a lot of exposure to them, which also means you sort of like come into big tournaments and you play one game
Yeah.
and a lot hinges on that result.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really exciting for netball with as like the world is
Yeah.
becoming more competitive. Like you've seen it particularly over the past like 5 years,
Yeah.
like how much that has changed, which is so fun.
I think it's more, yeah, I feel like obviously it'd be nice if Australia wins everything all
Absolutely.
the time. But as an athlete, it definitely helps you push yourself and think differently about like potentially strategic things or other, advantages we can get. So, yeah, I mean, speaking about winning, do you think this will be the year that Essendon will win a final?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know why I thought about it too much. I tell you what my pregnant pause was about. I was like, oh, is Joe meaning in like the men's space or the women's space?
I think
in both.
both.
Because I have high hopes for both.
Yeah, I know, me too. I
Yeah.
have one cousin who unfortunately my extended family barracks for Collingwood, and he literally will not let me forget.
Yeah.
Every year I get the same invite to the Facebook event. It's been 20 years since Essendon won a final. I go,
It's like, don't you worry.
yeah, I said this year's going to be different. It's sorted. I've spoken directly to the captain.
Source, and it's gonna be all good. Don't you worry
Yeah,
about
it's
it.
going to be fine.
No, I'm excited to see how the men go. Like, they've been going really well.
Yeah.
Like, even their performance last night. No, their practice matches. You
Yeah.
can't take a whole lot, but the conversations that I have with the players, they're super excited, as you would be at the start of every season. So,
Fingers crossed.
go Bombers, I say. And
Go
then we'll
Bombers.
start pre-season soon, and then the whole excitement train just like
It's going to hit
full steam
fever
ahead.
pitch.
Yeah.
Gosh, unstoppable.
Absolutely. No, very excited. Well, Joe, thank you so much for joining Two Good Talks today.
Thank you for having me. I am only borderline offended that I didn't make the cut for episode 1, but that's okay. I'll forgive you. Was that a solo episode
I think
or
it was
what?
more so just trying to like get you in the schedule. Like, you've been blocking out all these times, and I'm like trying to get in your online calendar.
Oh, it's because I got uni. Got to put it in the diary. You know
It's
that.
like, sorry, Bron, that's in my uni time. Well, no, I really appreciate it. Thank you for being so open and authentic like you have been today. Really appreciate it. So thank you.
I loved it. I'll see you soon. I'll see you at the Vixens game.
And that was episode 2 of the Two Good Talks podcast. See you next time.